Hello, and welcome to Blame the Dice Wargaming. My name's Tim, and this week on Tim's Workbench, I've been working with the Arc 170 Starfighter from the Clone Wars, trying to turn that into a centerpiece for my City of Naboo, the Fight from Naboo table that I'm working on, that you will have seen be largely complete last week. So stick around, I'll talk you through what I did, why I did it, how I did it to the most extent, and as far as I've got to. So I settled on modelling around this Lady Be Good. Now I'm going to explain this to you because it probably needs a bit of explaining, I suppose. Essentially, this is an old World War II plane that went missing at the end of 1943 and wasn't found for 16 years later. And when they found it, it was in remarkably good condition. Now, when I discovered that, I really liked the imagery from it, and this led me to want to progress and take this further. So let me show you some more shots. So you can see from behind that this was kind of wrecked, pretty intact. It had broken up, but it was at an angle. The wing was sticking up. And we see here there's a model of it that someone else has made, where the propellers are all bent out of shape and parts of the engine have been ripped off and missing. The rear fuselage is completely ripped off. So I decided to use this as the inspiration for what I'm going to do. So I decided that I liked the idea of doing a themed version so much that I was going to style it after the whole Lady Be Good crash from the World War that we talked about earlier. So this is the model, as we've already discussed, complete, ready to go. I've really not done anything to this other than glue it together. But because it's, frankly, is small to scale, I've decided that what I need to do is try to mask that somewhat. So if we put a unit next to it, you can see that the scale isn't awful, but it isn't great. So the idea I'm trying to go with now is that I'll be hiding the true size of it. So I'll start off by sketching some ideas of what I wanted it to look like. So up here is where I started. I want to talk about an angle, again, referencing the Lady Be Good crash. You can kind of see what I'm expecting to be kind of hidden underground in terms of what's going to be cut off. So the wing should be kind of sheared off, the bottom hull should be sheared off, it should be sitting on the drop of this engine. And if you look on this side, this is going to cut off quite a significant portion of the nose cone. What I'm hoping is what you'll get a big part of the back sticking up, and you'll lose the kind of size of the hull. So it's going to hopefully trick the eye so you think more of it's underground than it actually is, so you don't notice it not to scale. Now, this down here isn't necessarily the final idea, but I was toying with trying to do it so it kind of came down and kind of skidded to a halt. So I'm going to try to consider if I can have a bit of rough terrain kind of built along the side, something with some hills alongside it and some kind of skid marks going in, scattered terrain, etc, etc, wings sticking up here. And in this one I was thinking about when that could be a detachable piece, so you could have it on or not, or have this scattered further afield. And this is just me kind of toying with the idea of anything that comes off up here will hopefully be able to be salvaged into some more scattered terrain. So instead of just being one central piece, you might be able to have like some kind of debris where it was originally shot down doing a low flyover, and then a wing as it kind of sheared off. But that's the idea. And then when I've kind of, cause what I'm going to do next is I'm going to paint it just in the orange colours you saw on the clone trooper there. And then the idea is I'm going to get out a cutting tool, start hacking to get it down to the right size. And then, as you can see on this one, where all the red sections are, I'm going to try to start to cut out small bits. Now here we've got the two kind of layered wings, so I'm hoping to kind of push down and go through it. So we're going to cut to a fast frame of me doing the painting and the cutting, and you'll get to see how close to my plan I end up going. So this is what it looks like after I've taken the cutter to it, and I'm really pleased with the way it's came out. This is going to be angled up. I'll probably stick it down so it's more so. It's going to be propped up by the underwing there. This is going to be at a nice angle. Doesn't stick up too much at the back. We've separated the front, so that's going to kind of sit next to it at some angle. I've not quite decided how, but essentially I'm going to have some electronics sticking out there so that'll look cool. Really pleased with that. And I've got a number of, I guess, bits and pieces of stuff that's going to be able to make some good scatter terrain. So to make things work, I'm going to start stuffing the inside of this with kind of these various components we've got. This is stuff I've been squirreling away and saving. I think that's the inside of an electrical cable. I think put some more of this, which is maybe from a cut-off cord. Stick some of those in and cut it off. Chop some of these down, have those sticking out, and some wires. And I'm hoping that just taking a really very straightforward approach, imagine just if those were cut down, you're going to have a look to something that's actually been separated off and came off the ship when it was sheared away. And that's what I'm going to do on both sides of it, and any kind of bits where you've got a like a hull breach, shall we say, then I'll be doing the same thing. Yeah, so imagine that just all chopped down. That's going to look, when it's all painted up, very compelling, I think. I'm really pleased with that. So I'll probably try to do something similar on the underside there, so you can kind of maybe get an idea of the stuff underneath it. Certainly there if I can. And whilst I'm discussing it, I'm probably going to need to open up the bottom of this, because I decided that it'd be good if there could be a smoke plume coming from it. Now, I've got a load of these kind of little tea light candles, which when kind of put with some, it's not showing very well there, but when put with some cotton wool or something, can create a very nice effect. And when you take the cover off, you've got a very straightforward thing. And I was thinking, well, if I can fit it through there, you will have a very nice glow that's going to look like fire coming through the entire back portion of it. And I thought, you know what, that's going to really give it the finishing touch I want. So I've taken my polystyrene cutter to it and chopped it up, cut it up, put a lot of blast and scorch holes in it, and I'm really pleased with the way it looks. This was something that I decided to do later on. This is something I thought, well, do you know, it's going to make a very nice little barricade. It'll look the part and just a nice bit of scatter terrain, but really pleased with it. Now I'm going to show you what I've got planned next. So I've pretty much done everything to this I want to. It's been broken up, I've got it positioned the way I want it to, I've filed off some of the big bits of plastic, I've put wires all on the inside so it looks like it's got internal components. Really happy with it. So my next plans are fourfold, or fivefold rather, if you include a bit of a wash. So first up, I've got Army Painter flat white and matte black, and essentially you mix this up. It's something like a blob of black and enough white to make it go grey, so I can't be more precise, but actually it matches really perfectly with a Corex white, which is this colour, and I've painted it so you can't really see the difference. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all these internal mechanics, so it doesn't look so messy, because there's all sorts of things on pens and wires and all sorts here, so I'm going to make that be a consistent look and just kind of go nuts. And that'll be the same for inside, because inside here you probably can't see yet, but you can see there's black and red there and the same there, and there's some over here. There's wire components there, so I'll be doing those. Next up, it'll be some plate metal. So essentially what I'm going to do is this only certain places. So along here you've got bits where the paint's been kind of scraped down, and I thought, well, it'd probably look better if I painted that silver rather than it just being all done in grey or something. So essentially it's going to look like the paint's been brought away, and I'll do that in certain points round here inside the holes, just so when I'm painting it, if there's any bits that get missed, it'll look like it's been burnt or exposed metal. Certainly that's the plan. So certain bits like around here will get that as well, and maybe the back here as well. And down here where I've got this kind of severed bit that I've stuck on the side there. Okay, so that's that. So there won't be very much of that. Then the next bit is a bit more detailed. So first of all, I'll be using ash grey, and if you just use this as an example here, so I'm going to use this to paint the scorch marks on. So this will be kind of where you're getting the kind of lines and the whole kind of, you know, most of that area is going to get painted, and then there'll be kind of the scorch lines coming off. So that's the most similar colour to that I've got, where it'll still look distinctive and different. Then the next one will be Vallejo's USA Olive Drab. Now this one is a great colour for looking like smoke damage. So that's the one where I'll do a much more tightly done one, where there'll be the kind of more singular dark kind of odd sprays to kind of really direct the lines where the laser fires came in. And round the canopies, I'll probably stipple that. It's just because that will kind of add a kind of smoke damaged look to everything. So I really like the idea of doing that. And then lastly, matte black again, and that'll just be to go right into the very depths of the holes and to make it look really charred in places, so so it looks like that's the bit that was hit and that was burnt. And then when I've done all that, then I do a mixture of a thinner medium with like a tiny little blob of oil, the ink rather, and that goes a very long way. And essentially I will paint the entire thing, and that'll take it looking from this, I was going to say pristine model, but undamaged, but damaged, but well painted model, and we'll kind of bring out all the details, and I'll kind of also highlight around some of the rough bits, so kind of just highlight some of the bits that maybe have been lost through stenciling, stippling, or otherwise painting up the damage. And then lastly, this is the bit which, you know, was the easy steps: combination null oil and Agrax Earthshade, just to kind of go around, pick out some bits where it needs to be a bit dirtier, a bit messier, and that's what I'll be doing. So, it's time to get to it. If you want to watch along, I'll speed this video up nice and quick. And for the ash grey, we're going to do a second coat. That first one was very thin, this one's quite a bit thicker, and I'm going to try to start to really build in the blast scorching effect. As you can see, we've got a kind of general scorching around it. So now I'm going to start dragging out with a flat brush. So the zoom's not very good there, but you can see that it's a very flat-sided one. I'm going to start taking it from where the impact is and just dragging out in certain directions. Now this might be a bit thicker, but it's still not really thick because I don't want it to be dead obvious. But what I do want to be able to do is to have to give the impression of some impact. So after the ash greys have been applied, I'm doing matte black. Now what I'm doing
is I'm going to take it and apply it directly into where the impacts are. And the idea is this will be the kind of heaviest scorched bits, this will be the really burnt blackened bits. This is the final part for the weathering. Now this is using USA Olive Drab, and what I'm trying to achieve is a real scorched effect. So let me just show you what I'm going for. So take this engine for example, you can just see it's got the grey very subtle gradient around there, not much because it's not supposed to be that scorched, and it's black on the inside. Now what I'm trying to do, and I've done this one already just because I wanted to make sure I had the right build up, the right technique rather, is slowly dry brush out from where it's been fire damaged and work its way out, and that way you get a very, I think, very realistic looking kind of scorched look, and you can build it up so you can still get the kind of paintwork showing through. You can have areas where it looks worse than others. So the whole thing's had its damage and weathering doing to it. It looks quite patchy still because there are bits where you've got almost pristine looking paint next to extremely grubbied up and dirtied up bits and pieces. However, I'm quite pleased with the results. I think it just needs a little bit of assistance to make it all consistent and across the board. So that's what the next steps are. I use essentially a drop of this to about 10 drops of this, or thereabouts, and it creates a very, very thin wash. So that's it for this week. I've really enjoyed what I've done so far, though admittedly I have poured far too much effort into it than I really should have. An awful lot of time went into doing this. However, if it's going to be a centerpiece, you may as well do a thorough job of it. But yeah, may have lost myself a little bit in it. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed that. I've got an awful lot to do. This thing needs basing, it needs some smoke, it needs some work to really make it sell as the crash fighter that it is. Plus, I've got a lot more to do as well. I've got a few more crash ships to do. I'm going to probably pick something else different for when I finish this project, just so we can kind of keep things interesting and see what else is going on, rather than you just watching me destroy models and do similar things to them. Because broadly speaking, the process I follow for this
is a process I probably follow very broadly for anything else. You know, cutting holes in it, painting it up, etc. Anyway, I've really enjoyed this. I hope you've really enjoyed it too. If you've got any questions about how I did things, please do drop me a line. I'd be really happy to have a conversation with you and to speak to you about my process, or just take any comments or suggestions how I could do it easier or better. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.